Hello, guys. So, welcome to another interview with the topper who has cleared NABARD Grade A 2020 exam. And we have a very special guest today. So, he has basically done IT engineering and then he has cleared NABARD Grade A. So, from IT to banking. So, let me introduce first to our guest today. His name is Amandeep, and he is an engineering graduate in information technology. He did his engineering in 2018, just 2 years back or 3 years back. Then he had a campus placement, very good job, and he was promoted there in a very good digital profile. But the calling was different. He wanted something where he could serve the nation, and it's a very interesting story that how he came across NABARD. We will get to listen from him. He started preparing for NABARD in 2019, and in 2020, in his second attempt, he cleared NABARD Grade A. Though in his first attempt also, he was very close to clearing NABARD Grade A exam, but he made some blunders, right? So let's listen to him and let's get to know more about his strategy, his whole experience in this journey, which will be very important for you guys to listen to and get some learnings out of that. So, welcome, Amandeep. First of all, I thank you for coming on our platform to share your strategy, to share your experience with the candidates.
Thank you, sir. I would really like to thank the entire team of EduTap for helping me during the course of my journey, and thank you for having me here. Certainly, it's a nice experience to come here and share my experiences with the future aspirants. So, starting with the first thing that you asked, that how was my experience? So, basically, I would like to mention one thing that there would be at some point of time you would be. It's not that right now I've achieved this NABARD grade A and I'm sitting in front of you. So it's not that I've not come across failures in my life. So whoever is preparing, very few people will be able to make it right in the first attempt. So there would be failures every now and then. Just don't become disheartened by them. Rather work upon them. And so if you are quite determined and if you are serious in whatever you're doing, sooner or later you are certainly going to achieve that. But honesty and determination are the prerequisites in whatever you're doing.
Fine. So, how did NABARD Grade A happen? I mean, how did you come to know about this? Because as far as I came to know from you that none of your friends in NABARD, and you're from IT, were working in an IT company in a digital profile, and then suddenly you started preparing for NABARD in 2019. So, what is the whole story behind that?
So actually, I joined my company in 2018, and I was working for around 8 to 9 months. After that, a sense of saturation was getting into me. So it's not that things were not going on with me in the IT field; things were pretty good. But I thought that a question suddenly crept in my mind that will I be able to do it throughout my life, or will I be able to continue it throughout my life? So one day what happened was that I was just going through the YouTube videos and suddenly something popped up. That was one of the videos of NABARD Online. As we all know that NABARD Online is the official YouTube channel of NABARD. So the work that they were doing, that seemed pretty much interesting to me. I saw many videos in the playlist, and thereafter I started searching that what is it all about? What is this organization? What is it doing? And so when you come to know about NABARD, there are many other regulatory bodies also like RBI and SEBI. So I got to know about the other regulatory bodies as well, but NABARD was something that really quite appealed to me. So I decided that this is something that I feel that I'll be able to carry on throughout my life, and it would certainly give me a sense of satisfaction. So I decided to go with NABARD. I decided to go with NABARD in that way.
So it was basically a genuine interest in the job rather than searching for an alternative, right?
Yes, it was not merely an alternative. It was some genuine interest, the work that they were doing that really attracted me.
That's good. That's good. I think you should only go for those careers in which you are genuinely interested, and then everything will take care of itself. The next question that comes to mind is it was your second attempt in 2020. So can
Yes,
you
sir.
briefly tell what happened in 2019? Did you reach the interview stage, or were you not able to clear the prelims? What
Uh,
happened?
Sir, actually, I cleared the prelims, but I wasn't. I missed the mains cutoff by 5 marks. So
Okay.
actually, there was a blunder which I made in the English section because of which I missed the mains last year. So actually, what happened was that in the English paper, I was since my English is pretty much good. So just for this, many people take these things for granted. That okay, I'm able to speak English properly. I'm able to write English properly. So I'll be able to replicate the same thing in the paper. But obviously, it's not exactly the same. When you go to the examination hall, the environment is different. Many times the interface may cause problems, time management. So I had prepared the format and everything. I had a brief understanding of what needs to be done. But when it came to replicating in the paper last year, I fell short of time and I wasn't able to even touch the letter. So the letter itself carries 20 marks, and so I definitely would have received zero. So I was initially thinking that I won't be able to even clear the English cutoff, but I cleared the cutoff by 1 mark. I believe the cutoff was around 59, and I got 60 last time. So that was the reason. So I took it pretty much seriously this time.
So you didn't attempt paper worth 20 marks, and then also you just missed the cutoff by 5 marks, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
So I think if you would have attempted that, if you would have managed your time, then maybe you would have got through the finalist in 2019 itself.
I believe the chances were good even last time had I done that paper
Yeah.
properly.
So this is a very important learning for all those who are watching this interview, guys. Do not take English very casually. It's very important, and you can see time management is very important, and that will come from practice. So please do give at least some amount of time for preparing for English exam, because at the end of the day, it also is worth 100 marks, like your ESI and ARD exam, right? So now, Aman, let's get into some more details, right? So first of all, anyways, you have cleared the exam, right? What are the three things that you would say that these were the top three things to which I would attribute my success to? It might be support from family, it might be some good study material, it might be your motivation, but do let us know the top three things which you think have contributed to your success.
So first and foremost, I will feel that consistency in my preparation is one of the key things. No matter whatever you're studying, consistency in your preparation is very much required. Even though if you're able to give 2 to 3 hours a day for the working candidate, especially, I'm saying that even though if you're a working candidate and you're finding it quite difficult, that you're not able to devote proper time, but somehow I would say that you should take out some time. Being a working candidate, I feel that if you think that you'll exclusively get some time and you'll take out pen and paper and prepare for this exam, sorry, but I feel that that's not going to be that's not going to happen. You need to find time in bits and pieces, whether you're traveling or whether if you get some time in lunch, you need to take that time, you need to prepare for that and be very much consistent with your efforts. So this is one thing that I would like to mention. Besides that, the second thing is revision. Whatever you are studying, it's very important that you revise that. If you're studying something, if you're studying a lot, and if you're not revising that, certainly you will forget that in the course of a week or two. So if they are not able to replicate the same thing, if you're not able to remember the same thing in the exact paper, what is the use of studying all these things? So revision is a very key factor. Keep your sources limited, study that and revise multiple times. So that would serve handy. And third important factor, I say that always keep you surrounded with positive people, be it your friends, your family. So my superiors were pretty much supportive, because many times there would be certain phases when you feel like people are exclusively leaving the jobs and they're preparing for that, whereas I'm struggling a bit and all these things. So small words of encouragement can also work wonders. So try to always surround you with such positive people. For example, my superiors were very much supportive. My family had given me a freedom that okay, whatever you want you can do, we are with you. So these kind of things really helps you a lot. I had a friend named Suraj. He was also encouraging me always that you'll make it. So things like this really help.
Thanks, Aman, for putting it in such a crisp manner. So, consistency, revision, and positivity are the three key words which Aman is telling you to follow. And and that's very important, guys. Revision and consistency. I can vouch for it. And obviously, positivity shall be there. If you surround yourself with negative people who are going to say that you will never clear this exam, then you will never be, right? So I'll thank Suraj on your behalf also if he's watching this interview. Thanks for motivating Aman, and finally is able to clear the exam. So Aman, since you're a working candidate and you talked about consistency, that 2-3 hours
Yes.
a day, you should study. So when did you start your preparation? I know you were preparing in 2019 also. So in 2019 you would have studied a lot that would definitely have helped you in 2020. So overall, for 2020 exam, when did you start?
So I'll start with 2019. When did I start?
Sure.
Actually, for 2019, I started in March. I purchased the course and I started in March. I believe the exam was in June, and then the mains was on 27th of July. So for those 3 to 4 months, I prepared quite seriously. So that was the first time when I was preparing my static, ARD, and economics and social issues. So I had started my preparation for that, and then when the results came out of mains in August, I believe it was 14th or 15th. So I got to know that I didn't make it. So after a few days after that, my mother had a surgery, so I wasn't able to prepare after that. So that is when I left my preparation. So after everything was fine at my home, again I was expecting the next year NABARD's notification to be somewhere in March or April, but it came out in the month of January itself. So I filled the form, and around a week or so, I started my preparation for NABARD Grade A 2020. So much of my static part was already done. In the previous attempt, it was more of a revision. But the current affairs, since they formed the bulk of the examination, so that was something that I really had to focus upon. So talking about the static part, I had a feel of the examination, and the static part was pretty much done. But the current affairs and all those things, I started it around a week after the notification came.
So basically that 4 months which you spent for 2019 exam laid the foundation, and for 2020 exam you started when the notification came.
Yes, sir.
Right. And how much hours did you study for 2019 exam in those 4 months?
So it was the same around, I used to study it every day around 2.5 to 3.5 hours, and I used to extend during the weekends, because during the weekdays you don't get a lot of time being a working individual. But I used to make sure that I remain consistent with my efforts during the weekdays, and I used to extend on the weekends. Weekends I used to go like 7 to 8 hours. So this is what I followed. The same strategy was followed this time as well, that keep it consistent during the weekdays and extend as much as you can during the weekends.
Fine. So guys who are watching this interview, there are many candidates who ask this question, how to prepare while we are working. इसके लिए कोई रामबाण नहीं है. The idea is to be consistent, and as Aman is telling, 2-3 hours per day shall be sufficient, provided you are consistent. ऐसा नहीं है you read on Monday, Tuesday, then Wednesday, Thursday you are not reading. You will have to sacrifice a lot of things. But let me assure you that if you are being consistent, right, then at least you will be able to give a good shot for the exam. So Aman, that was about the 3 most important points and the time you spent upon your preparation. Now coming to details of your preparation for each of these components. So I'll come to ESI and ARD later, because that is common in phase 1 and phase 2.
Yes, sir.
How about your preparation for quant reasoning and English? I suppose you have not appeared for any other banking exams like SBI PO or SBI clerk, etc.
So I didn't appear for these exams. There was one exam, IBPS PO, I believe, that I appeared for 2019, but it wasn't a serious attempt. And thereafter, after that, I didn't appear for any such banking exams. I was solely focused on NABARD.
So how did you prepare for quant reasoning and English for NABARD? Because that would have been from scratch.
Yes, sir. So actually, since I'm from a science background, I was pretty much aware of the concepts and all these things. They were at the back of my mind, and I was pretty much confident that these are certain things that I already know. So what I did was that there are a few topics like time and work, speed, time and distance, and all these things. Those 7 to 8 topics, what I did was that I went to YouTube, took some of the famous videos of some famous YouTubers. I prepared notes for them, some common questions. So I did the same for 7 to 8 chapters, the famous chapters which are there. And it was just for the sake of revising the concepts which I had already studied way back in standard 10th or so. Once I had the concepts, because you very much need to be aware that what is going on in the exam these days. So for the sake of that, I made small notes for that. And then around for each and every chapter, I picked up some 25 to 30 questions of different types. So that was what I did. And then towards the end, when the exam was near, the prelims was near, I did around 5 mock tests, the whole for English, reasoning, and quants. So this was my strategy for English. I didn't do anything special, but for quant and reasoning, I looked at the videos from YouTube. I prepared the different types of questions, and then towards the end, I just gave 5 to 6 mocks. That was it.
So you didn't follow any book?
No, I didn't, because I feel that books are pretty much exhaustive.
Mm,
Because if you just have a look at the breakdown of the questions that are being asked in Nabat,
mm,
it's 20 marks points and 20 marks reasoning, and even the questions are not very high level. They are pretty much doable. So
mm.
I believe that if somebody is going through a book, it would be pretty much exhaustive. And being a working candidate, I didn't have the luxury of time, so I played it pretty safe.
Okay, that's good. That's a very smart strategy, guys. So in case you are short on time, you can do like this instead of going chapter by chapter, following any book cover to cover. I think that's very good. Watch some videos, get to learn some types of questions and the tricks, and then practice a lot. So, Aman, and what about computers? I hope
Uh,
you must be very much knowing about that topic since you're an IT engineer. But since in a competitive exam they can ask you anything, so was there any
yeah.
special preparation for computer?
Certainly, sir. Since I'm from IT background, I was pretty much aware of the computer things. But frankly speaking, the questions that they ask in the exam, they are pretty much basic in nature. So one need not be have an expertise over IT. This is what something that we have done in our school days. So, but still, I didn't take this paper for granted. What I did was that whatever knowledge I had on the basis of that, I picked a PDF from a prominent coaching institute. I feel that I picked it from EduTap only. They provide you a booklet sort of thing, suppose 70 to 80 pages, and I just spent 3 to 4 hours going through that. You just need to go through that. That itself would be enough, and you'll be easily able to attempt 15 to 60 questions. And besides that, one more thing I would like to suggest is that you can have a look at the previous year questions of computer science.
Hmm.
Around, I believe that 5 to 6 questions would be on exactly on similar lines, input, output devices, and all these things. So that is pretty much doable, but you need not take it for granted that I'm already aware of computer. I need not prepare for this. So this was my strategy for computers.
So computer is very scoring actually, right? If you read
Yeah,
those 80 100 pages, you can score 15 16 marks very easily.
exactly. With minimum output, you can maximize your score.
Yeah. And what about GA?
So GA, I followed two sources. One was EduTap. The first portion, when we talk of EduTap, the entire magazine, the monthly magazine is divided into 3 parts. The first one, the very short questions are there. And then for the second one, it is exclusively for ESI, which is prepared well in detail. And the third section is for finance. And you have a separate booklet for ARD. So what I used to do was that I used to just, for phase one, I just used to prepare the first section from the EduTap magazine. And another source that I followed was the Banker's Adda. So these two sources was the main sources that I followed. Apart from that, since only 20 questions come, and I already had a feeling of what they ask.
Hmm.
So I just resorted to these 3 sources for last 4 to 5 months. So that was what I did for the GA section.
Okay. And Aman, there is a lot of confusion among candidates. I mean, they keep us asking, like, no, should they read 4 5 magazines because GA is very vast? So, what should be your no kind of advice to them? Should they focus limited sources and revise? Though you have already focused on, you have already told the importance of revision, but I would specifically like you to answer this aspect that for GA, should they stick to 1 or 2 sources and revise, or should they try to cover multiple sources?
So the only thing that I would like to mention is that suppose if you are preparing from 4 to 5 sources, and
Hmm.
if you're not, if you're able to revise those sources, that
Hmm.
would really help you a lot. And if that is not resulting in a trade-off on the other sections of the paper,
Hmm.
if you have ample time, if you are able to prepare from 4 to 5 sources, and if you are able to revise them, then
Hmm.
it is very much good. You will be able to get suppose 19 or 20. But do you have that much luxury of time? Will that not result in a trade-off on the other sections of the paper? If that is not happening, then it is very much good. You can go for that. But I feel that if it is resulting in that compromising on one section and solely doing GA, it would not land you anywhere. So I would suggest that if you have less time, then you may resort to 2 sources and then revise it multiple times. That is it.
Guys, so that's a very clear cut answer, though he has been a little diplomatic that if you have time, but I think that is the main constraint when it comes to everyone in the world. Time nahi hai, right? चाहे आप जॉब भी नहीं कर रहे हैं तब भी आई थिंक यू विल नॉट हैव दैट मच टाइम कि आप 5 sources पढ़ लें because if you are doing that then definitely it would lead to a trade off in other sections which you cannot afford. So in nutshell you need to do 2 sources, right? Unless and until you are really fast and you really have a lot of time, then only go for the third source, not beyond third source, but do revise. Keep that point in
Yes.
mind. Revision is very, very important. He is again and again emphasizing on the same. ठीक है, तो ये हमारा सेक्शंस के बारे में हो गया विच आर एक्सक्लूसिवली फॉर फेज 1 quant reasoning English G and computer. Now we shall discuss about ESI and ARD. So first of all, do tell us that was your preparation for ESI and ARD integrated for phase 1 and phase 2, or you planned a different kind of preparation for phase 1 and phase 2, or it was a mix of both?
It was an integrated approach, but at the same time, I had prioritized my things that okay, these things need a special focus in phase 1, these things need a special focus in phase 2, but it was more or less an integrated approach.
So when you say that it's an integrated approach, what were the areas you were focusing for phase 1 and phase 2? I hope candidates are aware that basically there are two areas, static and current. So in these areas, static and current, what was your approach? How much time you were devoting to static and how much to current affairs?
So since I already mentioned that in 2019 itself, I prepared a considerable portion of static. So this time it was my notes were prepared. I just used to go through the notes towards the end because I knew that if I revise it, if I studied today and then again I need to revise it after some time. So I did not have that much luxury of time. So I just revised it around 10 days before the prelims. So that is what I did for the static portion. And the current affairs, predominantly the schemes play a very vital role, and the reports that be it the quarterly reports of the different ministry of the for example food grains, the production. So certainly there are questions every year, so you need to be very much aware of the reports, the census, the SECC, the forest state forest report. So these actually this time what happened was that we were very much expecting questions from these reports, but in the phase 2 there were no such questions. So actually, frankly speaking, there were exhaustive efforts from my end reading all these schemes. I had read everything from scratch, but you never know what NABARD can do next year. So I believe that you should be well prepared with these things. And current affairs, they are very much asked in the exam. And talking about the static portion, there are a few chapters like be it employment, be it growth. So you can, when you go through the previous questions, you'll be very well able to make out that there are around 7 to 8 chapters from the static portion जहाँ से questions आ रहे हैं. If you there are around 19 to 20 chapters, but you need not go through बाकी के chapters, जैसे कि वो environment वाला chapter अगर आप ले लीजिए. So you will come to know in due course that the question from that particular chapter will be very much asked from the current affairs itself. So you need not go and prepare the Kyoto Protocol, the Kigali Agreement, and all these things exclusively. If you have certainly if you have time, you can go for that. But if you're short of time, I would feel that you'll be able to segregate certain chapters कि इससे static relevant है और ये बाकी chapters जो हैं from them only current affairs will come in the exam. So if you play this way, it would really serve handy.
That's a very important point that he has made, guys. When it comes to ESI, it has two parts basically: economics and social issues. So most of the static questions in ESI are asked from economics portion. That is your measurement of growth, right? Balance of trade and all these things. From social issues like poverty, unemployment, health, malnutrition, gender differences, from all these chapters, high probabilities that they will ask you questions from current affairs, what they have been doing in the last 5-6 years. So you talked about schemes, right?
Yes.
Now, when it comes to schemes, again, there is a lot of confusion, which even faculty would always have, that there are a lot of schemes, right? And I mean, it's like a vast ocean of schemes, and they can ask you anything in the exam. They have been asking some old schemes also. So what was your criteria when you were studying schemes? How you were filtering them, or what was your criteria to decide what is important and what is not?
So as far as the schemes are concerned, I solely relied on the booklets that were provided by EduTab. I didn't have that much luxury of time to go and search on the different sites and then Google them and all those things. I didn't have that much of time. So there were around 4 to 5 booklets that were provided for schemes from EduTab that comprised around 200 pages. But still, while going through the schemes, I can point out that what things I had kept in mind. For every scheme, there are a few things that you need to keep in mind. First and foremost, when was it launched? Who's the ministry that's taking care of that, and then what is the objective, and then if some data points if you're coming across, so suppose talking about Manrega, so for example, what are the wages that they're offering? It has been monitored by whom? The Gram Sabha. So these are the small points that you need to be aware of. It's not that you need to read line, you need to remember each and every line, but you need to have a brief overview and the data points that you come across, you need to memorize them. There are a lot many data points and you just cannot get away with them. You'll have to memorize them. But I didn't filter any schemes as such. Whatever was there in the booklet, I tried my level best to remember as much as I can. Because many times what happens is that when you appear for the mains, it's not that the questions will be directly asked from some material that you have been provided. But if you are well read, it serves very much handy in eliminating the options and all these things. So there's a lot of benefit if you remember the schemes, I believe. Go through them.
Fine. So again, guys, so he has emphasized on the importance of having vast amount of knowledge, because definitely at the end of the day, if there is no direct question, at least you will be eliminate some options with whatever knowledge you have. And what about reports? Again, do you have any specific criteria that how to filter reports, which reports are important, or you just read whatever was given to you?
So talking about the reports, I didn't go through the report except for the, for example, whatever was given to me by EduTap, be it SECC, be it census, be it state of forest report, or the different reports. So first, what I used to do was that I used to go through the MCQs. I used to try it on my own, the tests, and then I used to see that, okay, I've scored this much. So along with that, EduTap also provides you an explanation for that. So rather than just checking out that, okay, this question is answer ye hoga, I didn't used to do that. Rather, I used to go to the explanation part. I used to read the entire explanation for all of those questions. So this is what I did. Or report की अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं तो जो famous prominent reports है, I used to go and उसका summary में देखता था, original documents है, जो शुरुआत में जो होता है section, I used to go through that, and if there are some data points which were missed in the test or something like that, I used to jot it down. So this was my strategy for the reports, and I didn't exclusively read from any other source. This was my strategy. EduTap को वो मैंने magazine उठाया, उसका वो test दिया, explanation वाले section को I did it exhaustively. That was it.
And ARD में, what about static? Though you have said that no, it was already prepared. But in ARD, which chapters did you think were challenging for you, or which chapters are important for the exam?
Again, there are some certain sections I believe which are favorites of मतलब कि NABARD जो भी बोल दीजिए. For example, animal husbandry or poultry वाला section. The chapter is also quite short, and the amount of effort that it takes in doing that section, that is also less. So I would suggest that no matter whatever happens, don't miss that chapter. तो वैसे आप जो है वो chapters को prioritize कर लीजिए. ऐसा मतलब कि it might happen that today, this year, NABARD is taking out from this particular chapter. Next year it might select some other chapter. But still, if you are in paucity of time, you need to play it safe. And वैसे आप chapters को prioritize कर लिए तो for example this animal husbandry वाला chapter, agriculture वाला chapter, questions are bound to come from these chapters. Similarly, there's one more chapter, meteorology. तो वो ऐसा chapter है, I've not seen any questions as such from that particular chapter. So that was which I used to prepare towards. And because ARD की भी बात करें तो even though the static section is there, but it's vast. It's not that the sources are very limited. So उसको revise करने में भी takes a good amount of time. So I would suggest that you focus on the chapters from which the questions are coming quite predominantly. So this is the strategy which I followed, that just chapters से questions ज़्यादा आ रहे हैं, I used to prepare them first, and then some chapters from which the questions weren't coming that predominantly, I used to read, I used to just go through them. That's it.
And what about ARD current affairs? Again, was EduTap the only source, the EduTap magazine for ARD current affairs?
I used to follow the ART current affair magazines, and besides that, Kurukshetra as well. Whatever magazines, be it Yojana, be it Kurukshetra, whatever the different reports that were provided by EduTab, National Family Health Survey, all the reports, I just went through them, and that was it. Whatever was provided, I did it end to end. And for ARD, I went through the magazines as well.
So it was a thorough preparation, what I can gauge from conversation with you. Now tell me, in short, how many months of current affairs would you suggest to candidates to cover? 3 months or 6 months or 9 months?
So you're asking for phase 2, right?
Yeah, phase 2.
You're asking for phase 2 ARD and ESA.
You can tell.
So sir, I believe that if you are.
You can tell for both phase 1 and phase 2.
Okay, so sir, phase 1, I believe that 4 months would be sufficient. 4 months would be sufficient. उससे ज़्यादा वो नहीं पूछेंगे. But in phase 2, I believe that you need to, because in phase 2 every mark counts. In fact, it counts in both the phases. But I believe that in phase 2, if you're doing for 6 months, that would really serve handy. I remember one experience in last year where the exam was on 27th of July, I believe. They asked a whole entire paragraph from the ASER report. ASER report had come in the month of December or January. So that was around 6 to 7 months back, and that the entire section was for 6 marks. So I believe that you need to prepare for 6 months. And it's maybe if somebody is following EduType, I would like to mention is that if you are the pehla section hai, for the short answers and questions, they are very much factual in nature. They don't ask that type of questions in phase 2. So you can straight away go for the section 2, that is the ESI portion, which is being provided exhaustively. And you can study the finance section as well to some extent. You can become a bit selective in that. Or ARD wala booklet aap pura padh lijiye. And be very thorough with the reports, the different reports that are being provided. Or even if you're aware, even if you're not, even if that is not provided at some platform, and you know that it is pretty much important, you can go through that. And that is it. For 6 months, I believe that it is pretty much important. This year, they didn't ask too much of reports. In fact, there weren't much questions, but you never know what they are going to throw at you next time.
So guys, some very important points have been made while answering this question. First is current affairs for phase 1, 4 months, and for phase 2, 6 months. And that is understandably so, because the stakes become higher, though in phase 1 also every mark counts, but still it is qualifying. But in phase 2, whatever you score, the maximum you score, the higher becomes your chances. So please go for 6 months current affairs in phase 2. Second point he has made a very smartly is that the uncertainty about the exam. So there were no reports, but I think if you are preparing for this year's exams, right, 2021, and if you just see 2020 paper that there are no reports, I'll not do the reports, then you are taking a big risk. Because if you go back to 2018 and 2019 exams, reports have a good amount of questions in that. So please prepare for that uncertainty, or I would say that do not stick to your or do not strategize your preparation just based upon the paper for 1 year. That would be really bad, or that would be really harmful for you if something comes up which was not there in 2020 exam. So that were the 2 points that I wanted to summarize from his answer. So I hope you will be benefited from that. Now coming to the English paper in phase 2.
Yes, sir.
So you made a blunder in 2019 where you were not able to attempt a paper worth 20 marks. So I am sure that how much devastated you have felt after that once the result came out, because it's okay if you're not able to attempt 1 or 2 objective questions, but in English paper, when you are not able to attempt paper worth 20 marks and you just lose out on the cutoff by 5 marks, it can be really demotivating at times. So what was your strategy with respect to English this time, and especially when you got so much time, right? After phase 1 you got almost 6 months for phase 2.
Yes, sir.
So how did you prepare for English in that phase?
So for English, I would like to say that be very much thorough with the format. For example, since I'm from ICSE board, I was pretty much aware about Prezi and letter. But still, even though one is aware, one needs to go and check that what is the format these days. First of all, you need to be aware of the different format, for example, letter wala format. So whatever they're asking, you just practice multiple times. And then for essay, I would say that you need to have a framework well in mind. For example, since last year, till last year, it was like 250 marks of essay. So, but 250 words of essay. But this time, they suddenly asked for 400 words ka essay. So when I saw that particular thing, I already had a few dimensions planned in my mind. First, I would begin with an introduction. I would basically follow the IBC format. Like in body mein kya likhna hai, I would divide it into, I would basically focus on these few dimensions. Lekin jab wo 250 words ka 400 words aaya, so immediately I thought that, okay, fine, there has been an increase in the number of words. There's only one way how I can manage. पहले अगर मैं 4 dimensions के लिए prepare कर रहा था, I'll just increase 2 dimensions. पहले अगर मैं बस health education और इस पे rural development पे focus कर रहा था, this time I'm going to add the poverty section as well, unemployment as well, because when you have the dimensions fixed in your mind, it becomes pretty much easy because you are very much well read, you have the data with you, you're very much aware of the schemes, so you can easily put it there. So that is the strategy which I followed. And in order to have an edge over others, I would suggest that you can put some data points, you can mention some schemes related to that particular dimension that would really create an impact over the person who's reading. And the prerequisite that I would mention is that try to avoid spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes as far as possible. So while preparing for that, like other people as well, I used to practice on notepad. First of all, I would write the things on notepad, and then I would used to paste it on word, and then I used to get that kahan pe galtiyan ho rahi. But I used to mainly I wrote these tests to understand the whether I'm able to manage the time or not, because that was the issue with me last time. I was writing good essays and everything, but these tests I wrote only to find out whether I'm able to complete my paper on time or not. So it wasn't a very exhaustive preparation, but just to check whether the time is coming right or not, I practiced 7 to 8 tests. 5 are EduTap tests as well, 5 EduTap tests only, and 2 tests I managed from somewhere else. So this was my strategy for this. And for Prezi, and again, I would like to say that try to stick to the word limit, because they have specified a word limit. Even if you are off shooting around 3 to 4 words, do not spend बहुत ज़्यादा time उस पे देने की ज़रूरत नहीं है that I will make it 250 only, I'll make it 400 only. You will be just wasting your time, because there's a lot to write in this paper. So I would suggest that even if you're overshooting, leave it 5 to 6 words, try to focus on the next question.
One question here, Aman. Do one get to see the amount of words he has written? The word count is displayed there?
Yeah, so when you are typing, you'll get to know that, okay, these many words you have written, that is displayed there.
That is displayed there.
Yeah.
And in that interface, can you copy and paste? Suppose you have written some line in the first paragraph. Now you want to take it downwards in the third paragraph. Can you do that? Copy and paste?
So I tried doing it this time, but it didn't work for me. It didn't work. So I believe that this year, people are not able to paste. I don't know about previous years. I don't remember, but this year at least I tried doing that, but I wasn't able to do it.
Okay, so you can't even do cut and paste or copy and paste. Word count is displayed.
Yeah, word count is displayed.
Okay, and at one time when you are attempting an essay, so how is it like? The essay is displayed on the left hand side and you keep typing on the right hand side, something like that?
Yes, sir. There's a very small box sort of thing. So many times what happens is that if you're typing something and you need to check that what you have written it before, so you need to move the slider, and it is pretty much time consuming and all these things. And this time there were a few issues encountered with the interface as well. We weren't able to very easily switch to the next line. So with the spaces as well, there were some issues. So you might encounter such problems. So better be prepared, and that you can only get an expertise over these things only by practicing. There's no other way out.
And how did you prepare for Prezi? How much Prezis did you practice?
So I just took 7 to 8 wholesome papers. जिसमें letter भी था, Prezi, comprehension ये भी था. I didn't exclusively prepare, and I used to keep my timer on. So that was the only thing that I did. And for the English section,
your whatever you write or whatever you wrote for those tests, it was not evaluated by anyone. It was self-evaluation.
No. So first of all, I used to evaluate it myself, and then I told that I had a friend of mine. I used to give it to him. So he used to evaluate for me, and then he used to say that, okay, it could have been done this way, because, and I also used to go through the videos, because you need to be very much aware of that, okay, what is the demand of this exam? इसमें क्या लिखना है? तो I used to go through the EduTap videos of essay जो sir लेते थे. I believe he's Narveer sir.
Yeah.
So I used to watch his videos as well. But as far as evaluation is concerned, I used to evaluate it myself, and there was a friend of mine who used to evaluate it. That's it.
Okay. And how did you manage your time in the exam? So there are a lot of things to be written there, right? Essay, then Prezi, letter, and I believe comprehension is also there. So how did you divide your time among these components?
Essay को मान लीजिए 30 minutes देना है. And while writing the essay, if I find that, okay, I need to, मतलब कि मेरे को extend करना पड़ेगा time से. So what I learned was that I didn't used to do it at that right moment. I used to, जितना time मैंने इसको allot किया था, मैं उतना ही मैंने इसको दिया. उसके बाद फिर I used to move on to the next section, complete those questions, and then towards the end, I used to try to find out some time so that I can come back to the original question and then complete it. So the time divisions were already made, and I used to stick with that.
Fine. तो सबसे चैलेंजिंग आपको इंग्लिश में लिखना क्या लगता है? मतलब व्हाट वुड यू सजेस्ट कि ये सबसे चैलेंजिंग है, वन शुड प्रिपेयर मोर फॉर दिस इन द इंग्लिश पोर्शन?
सर बेसिकली आई फेल्ट दैट essay जो है सेंसस का वेटेज भी ज्यादा रहता है. सो यू शुड बी वेल रेड फॉर दैट, एंड यू शुड बी हैविंग अ प्रॉपर स्ट्रक्चर कि कैसे लिखना है. सो आई फील दैट कैन कम ओनली व्हेन यू प्रैक्टिस अ फ्यू essays. फॉर मी दैट वाजंट अ बिग इशू, बिकॉज मैं पढ़ते रहता था, So I would say कि if somebody is not very comfortable with that, one should try to write multiple essays. One should try to structure that. And as you mentioned, that evaluation भी होनी चाहिए उसकी, so that one can get to know that yes, he is going right. And then besides that, coming to the comprehension section, I would suggest that जब वो comprehension वाला section करते हैं, तो once you read the comprehension, and you can go through the questions as well. Comprehension का question क्या है, so that you can get to know that okay, what they will be asking. I would suggest that first read the questions, then go through the passage, so that you will be having a clear idea कि वो वाला segment कहाँ पे है. And then I would suggest कि आप Prezi वाला segment जो है ना, वो पहले कर लीजिए, rather than going for the comprehension, because when you write a Prezi, you try to fit that within that many number of words, you have a tendency to read it multiple times. So वो बहुत ज़्यादा दिमाग में बैठ जाता है कि the answer for this particular section lies here. And then even if you have very less time for the comprehension question and answers, you'll be easily able to do that in 7 to 8 minutes if you are in a positive mind. So I use that particular strategy for comprehension and Prezi.
Fine, guys. So with respect to English, I will just summarize. First of all, very clear communication from him is that when you are writing an essay, obviously there would be a proper flow, intro, body, and conclusion, but try to supplement whatever you're writing with schemes and data. That would kind of give an impression to the exam checker that you are well read, right? And that will make the difference, I think. Right, and he's also saying that essay is the most challenging part. One should prepare for that, because when you're writing essays, it will anyways help you develop your writing skills, which can be useful in comprehension and Prezi and letter also. And another advice that he has given is that when you are attempting Prezi and comprehension, because the passage is the same, do try to attempt Prezi first, because when you're trying to write something in lesser words, you will try to write after understanding that. So once you have understood the passage, the comprehension can be completed in a lesser time. So that was his strategy. But please note that this is not something that is universal strategy. You should try to come up with some customization if you require. So Aman, that was about English. Now coming to the result. So when the result came, there were a lot of things happening, right? No, lockdown was going on.
Yes,
there have been a lot of frustration also with regards to the process, that when it will get finished. So what was your reaction that when phase 2 result came? Were you expecting that I will definitely get through, or you were worried about the result and it was a sort of relief?
So for phase 1, it was much of a sort of a relief, but when talking about the phase 2, I was pretty much sure that I am I'm making it this time, because my phase 2 exams went really well. The English, particularly English, although it's a subjective paper and one may not exactly be able to make out, but a sense of satisfaction was there. That yes, I've done my part. It was pretty good. So basically, after the phase 2 exam, I felt that, and besides that, the paper this year was also quite difficult when we compare it to the last year. Talking about the English paper, the word limit had extended to 50 words. And talking about the ARD section as well, the questions were asked around 6 to 7 months back. So it was on difficult lines, but still the paper went quite satisfactory for me. So I knew that I'll be able to make it this time. So it was some sort of relief as well, that okay, now I'm going for the interview. So it wasn't.
So when was your interview held?
So my interview was on 11th of December.
Okay, so almost like I think 20 days. Interview started in November or September?
I believe it started on 25th of November. 25th November.
So within 2 weeks, you had your interview.
Yes.
So how was your preparation for the interview? What were the sources you followed? What kind of preparation you did?
So my preparation was also exactly on similar lines what others do, like starting with my profile. You need to be very much thorough with your profile, the place you come from. I even prepared my school. Okay, the school was my school is St. Xavier's, so I even prepared that who is St. Xavier's, how was it started. So I come from Bokaro Steel City as well, so that how steel is prepared, because you never know. Such questions maybe appear quite trivial, but if you are not prepared about those things, that may create a wrong impression. So I tried my level best. Okay, and then the place of my native state, I prepared a lot. What is going on in my district, what NABARD is doing. I studied the potential linked plans that are available on the NABARD website, the state focus papers, and whatever is given on the NABARD website, right from the motto of NABARD, the different members that they have on the board, the different schemes that NABARD supports. And I also went through the NABARD online videos, because when you see something, it gives you a different feeling and you are able to retain that for a longer period of time. So I prepared the NABARD online videos as well. And besides that, again, the different reports, I again went through the reports, because many times they ask you some factual questions as well. That suppose for the food production report that is released, so the latest report they might ask that, okay, what was the what was the production for rice? So I focused on these things, and again the schemes also come away, play a very dominant role. You again need to revise the schemes all again. So this was my overall strategy. And besides that, I gave mocks at two places, and one and then the third mock I gave it to my friend itself. So that was my strategy for the interview.
So what kind of questions did they ask in the interview?
So the first and the foremost question that they asked was that, okay, tell me about one scheme from your state which you feel that is really working wonders and that is really serving beneficial for your state. So I talked about a scheme on farm mechanization that is being conducted. So they basically asked that, but your state that is already labor surplus. So why do you want to introduce farm mechanization in your state? That would result in unemployment for people. So I was thought that yes, it may result, but I tried to cover it up, and I told that, sir, actually, when the machines are introduced, then that results in a greater efficiency. So if there is, suppose if somebody is broadcasting rice grains on the field, and that is being done manually. So it may happen that seeds may land up somewhere, and seeds may not adequately land in some other place. But on the contrary, when seed drills are used, so the seeds may fall right in place, and this may result in greater production and efficiency. But the people weren't very much convinced. They were again sticking to that labor aspect. That okay, that is fine, but still you have a labor intensive state. Why do you want to introduce it? So again, they asked me to try. I gave some tries here and there, but they weren't very much convinced. And then towards the end, I told them, sorry, sir, I'm not able to recall anything different from this. So after this, the manager told that, okay, that's fine. That's at least you tried. We are not here to grill you down. So let's move on to the next question. So the environment was pretty much cordial. So this was the only question in my interview. That was the first question where I stuck. Apart from that, everything else went pretty well. And then apart from that, they asked in brief that, okay, you tell me the functions of NABARD. So these three functions, I just elaborated on them. And then they asked me like, okay, suppose we select you, then what do you feel that, which role are you more suited in? Whether it's the developmental role, the supervisory role, or the financial role. So I said that, sir, developmental role is something that would befit me, because that really inspires me. And so I just elaborated on that answer. And then apart from that, again, the normal conventional question that you're from IT background, but it was placed in a different way. It wasn't a direct question. So how will you serve at NABARD? Why should we take you? There are already IT vacancies. So, but you are applying in a generalist post after having done your BTech in information technology. So again, there was a mock at EduTap only, where sir also asked me the same question. So basically, when I was answering this question, I was thinking that, okay, let me try out something different. I'll introduce this new thing at NABARD. I'll bring about a revolution. It was something of that thing. But sir actually corrected me, and he told me that you need not go for these things. Rather, you try to link with what NABARD is actually doing at present and what you have an expertise on. So basically, you'll be able to do those things in a much better way at NABARD. So exactly, I followed the same approach, talking about the e-Shakti, the digitization of the SHGs that NABARD is taking care of. I talked about that and the role that I can play in that. Besides that, the integration of the farmer producer organizations, again bringing them so that there will be greater transparency and all these things. So I tried to speak on these topics, and they were pretty much convinced. And then, sir, besides this, they again asked me about the budget. That was something unexpected question, because my interview was in December. The budget was released way back in February. So they asked me, okay, you tell me what has government done, and what is the different announcements that in the budget that government has made. So again, I was well prepared, because there was a separate segment on budget. A leaflet, a booklet was introduced on the NABARD website as well, and so I was well prepared with that. And I thought that I need to express whatever I know. So I try to elaborate the same thing. Whatever, suppose I chose a point, I used to elaborate that. so that I'll be able to show that yes, I'm pretty much well read. But in due course of time, I believe that one of the members on the interview board, he was able to make out that he's trying this strategy. So he told me that, okay, you just mentioned the points. And there were 3 to 4 more questions, and then towards the end there was an HR question where the ma'am asked me that, okay, now suppose we select you for NABARD, what do you feel that a NABARD grade A officer should have in him or her so that he'll be able to serve the masses properly? So I mentioned that, ma'am, I feel that sensitivity is one aspect which one really needs to have in him, because if one is pretty much sensitive, he'll be able to serve the rural masses, because until unless you understand the problem, you won't be able to try to find a solution for it. So this was it. It was pretty much satisfactory towards the end, although it didn't start that good.
So I think some very interesting interview experiences that we have been hearing from our candidates who have got selected, and this is on the same lines, very interesting. And the learning which I would like to take, and everybody who's watching this interview can take, is first of all, guys, in an interview, it is not like you shall be answering every question. You can pass. And as he told, his first question itself was kind of a bouncer to him, where he was not able to explain what is the logic behind farm mechanization when the state is already labor intensive state and there's high amount of labor available. So but that doesn't mean that he is not capable of being selected in NABARD, and that the person who is taking an interview that also knows, right, that no, it's not about a correct answer to every question. I think the way you approach, your attitude, and there are a lot of other things which matter. So please do not think that if you're not able to answer 1 or 2 questions, the interview is finished. It's never like that, right? And second, as he told, that please be prepared for anything which might seem something is not related in the current context, but they can still ask. They ask him about the budget, because anyways, when the budget is announced, obviously all these organizations watch the budget, what is happening in the budget for them, how they need to go in future, what are the implications on them. So please prepare for everything. Do not see that only the current context of around 3-4 months is enough for you. So that are the 2 learnings which I would take myself, so that I can suggest other candidates to be prepared for.
And one more thing I wanted to mention, sir, that for example, many times people ask about the NABARD annual report. So I just didn't mention because that is already there on the NABARD website. So when you open the NABARD website, the different booklets that are there, that also has NABARD annual report of this year and the previous year as well. Even if you're not able to do the previous year, you can do it this year. So all the documents are already there. No matter whatever is there on the NABARD website, you need to prepare that thoroughly. And then apart from this, the current affairs and your profile, these things, if one is well prepared with, then the interview would be pretty good, I believe.
So guys, I hope you're listening to all these golden words from Aman that will help you to be well prepared when you appear for the interview in 2021. So that's it, Aman, from my side. I think we have discussed extensively about your strategy, and I think rather than about strategy, it was more about your whole experience during this journey of last 1 year, or rather 2 years, because you appeared in 2019 also. Anything else that you want to share which I might not have been able to ask?
So I believe that pretty much was included. There would only be a suggestion for the future aspirants that you need to just keep on working hard. And if you're determined, be honest with your efforts. If you're working hard with honesty, you're bound to get results sooner or later. For me, that's something that really made me work hard, was that I just didn't want to go through this entire cycle again. Because you make a small mistake, if you're a little slack in your efforts, that would cost you a year. And I just didn't want to repeat this entire process of again starting it from prelims. Even though if you reach the interview and if you miss by a mark, you'll have to repeat the entire process. So just put your 100% and be determined and work honestly. That will certainly give you results in due course.
Thank you, Aman, for such a candid interview. One thing I can vouch for, that whatever interviews I have taken, to all the candidates I have spoken to, they have been very honest, it seems. So I think there is something common which NABARD is looking for, is honesty in the candidates. Your intelligence has already been reflected in the mark sheet for phase 2, but in interview, it's all about your personality. And one of the important aspects that they are surely checking, I'm pretty sure on that, it's about being honest in the interview, right? So please take this learning from this session that no, do not try to bluff. Even you have IT background, even you have 3 years of work ex, even if you have no work ex, even you have been preparing for UPSC and you have not been able to crack that, no matter what, just be honest. With that note, I'll thank Aman once again for coming on our channel and sharing his strategy. Thank you, Aman, and I wish you best
Thank
of
you,
luck
sir.
for your future.
Thank you, sir. It was really a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, Aman. Bye.